Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Many indigent people in Nigeria who cannot afford legal services may soon heave a sigh of relief as legal practitioners gathered in Abuja to look into ways of assisting them whenever the need arises. On this edition of the Legal Scope, we will, as usual, bring you more reports bordering on the fight against corruption in the country. Welcome, I am Basil Okafo. Stay tuned for details. Stakeholders in the justice sector gathered in Abuja to brainstorm on ways of motivating lawyers to cultivate the culture of pro bono as part of their practice ethics. A cross-section of the legal experts agreed that offering of free legal services to prison inmates will assist in decongesting the nation's prison facilities. According to legal experts, many people in Nigeria are poor and cannot afford legal services. Stakeholders here are of the view that the program on building a culture of pro bono in Nigeria is a commendable initiative which, according to them, seeks to aggregate resources to support indigent, socially vulnerable and disadvantaged Nigerians in accessing justice through providing legal aid services and motivating lawyers to cultivate a culture of pro bono as part of their practice ethics.
It is on this premise, therefore, that we actively seeking your support as stakeholders in justice sector and society at large to ensure that the initiative being birthed here today thrives.
At last, the mindset is changing to complement the state actors. Definitely, government cannot do it all. With the capacity of human and finance, cannot allow us to take up the pro bono for Nigeria as a very big country with almost 200 million as their population.
Other stakeholders who offer free legal services to indigent persons explain that the services come with challenges, but they are determined to continue.
Any life that is not useful to other people is a useless life. I am just living, this thing I am doing completes me, gives me a sense of reasoning, sense of belonging, and a fulfillment in life. So I'm happy doing what I am doing, and nothing will discourage me from continuing until God takes my life.
You can't say whether we have enough so far, because quite a lot that are willing to even participate are not probably given the platform yet.
Legal experts explain that pro bono is where legal advice, services, or legal representation is provided voluntarily by lawyers or law firms to individuals, organizations, or charities without a cost. The National Anti-Corruption Strategy covering the period between 2017 to 2021 was said to have been validated on April 27, 2017 by relevant stakeholders. Speaking shortly before inaugurating the committee, the AGF said the monitoring of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy implementation will be achieved at 3 levels and that its annual review report shall be submitted to the Secretariat of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy in the office of the AGF, which will then be transmitted to the Federal Executive Council for more deliberations. The report, the AGF said, will include assessments of the level of implementation and challenges and make recommendations as well. He said the mandate of the committee, whose members are drawn from different sectors, was to ensure that the National Anti-Corruption Strategy is delivered to the Nigerian citizens. According to him, the strategy comprises 5 pillars, namely prevention, public engagement, ethical reorientation, enforcement and sanction, as well as recovery and management of proceeds of crime.
The committee is expected to make these documents their mini constitution and to ensure that an implemented strategy is delivered to the Nigerian citizens. Our mandate as a committee is to ensure that the national anti-corruption strategy is fully implemented.
Members of the committee are drawn from the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, Bureau of Public Procurement, Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, and the Code of Conduct Bureau, among others.
Different anti-corruption agencies, there are so many of them, and there is a need to ensure that all of them key into one focus and one direction. And that strategy is to help them in directing them what will be our key priorities and what will be the key focus of government in terms of fighting corruption in the country. So these different agencies are supposed to key into it to ensure that we have one single direction, in terms of fighting corruption. Well, in the strategy, you have different elements to it. You have the law enforcement, okay? So in terms of EFCC, ICPC, going after people and then arresting them also. That also has to do with investigation and also prosecution. You have the one on prevention, okay? There are agencies, anti-corruption agencies, that their work is to prevent the act of corruption. So for instance, the Bureau of Public Procurement, even though we know it as a procurement agency, but it has a role to play in fighting corruption, ensuring that the process for procuring goods and services of government followed due process so that corrupt practices are avoided.
These measures are believed to be crucial to the fight against corruption and in ensuring accountability, which, according to the authorities, will aid in the prosecution of persons found culpable. Members of civil society organizations operating under the names Nigerian Young Professional Forum and Connected Development Code stormed the headquarters of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in Abuja with a petition letter against some foreign companies. They alleged that Samsung Heavy Industries deliberately and willingly failed to ensure compliance with the local content laws in the employment and training of Nigerians, but instead it chose to siphon the nation's oil revenues through the engagement of nationals from its home country.
We know that Nigeria would keep giving contract to the oil and gas sector. We want to ensure that institutions are strengthened, whereby EFCC would investigate this matter independently and call the attention of Mr. President so that moving forward, the local content law that we have enacted, signed by a sitting president, would be implemented. So today we're here at the EFCC office to submit this petition, having in mind that with the confidence we have with this great institution, they would investigate this matter and ensure that young professionals would benefit from the local content law when we sign contracts with multinationals in the oil and gas sector.
The future and the destiny of this country lies in our hands as young people. So we must, as a matter of national urgency, continue the step of rising up to take our destiny and our future in our hands. We also understand that there was a press conference which my colleague just mentioned that we had some weeks back to call the world's attention to the fraud and corruption going on in the oil and gas industry, talking about the $3.8 billion a Total Egina project, which is tend to employ over 30,000 young people, young professionals, young engineers, young Nigerians that have been trained. But as we speak to you, a lot of young people were deprived from that process because a lot of the local content jobs were done in South Korea, whereby creating enormous jobs for young South Koreans. And we as young people, we cannot fold our hands and see all these things and keep quiet. We are saying that the local content laws or principles that was applied in that project in terms of the contract agreement was not followed duly. So that's why we are here to make a complaint.
The spokesperson to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Wilson Wujeren, who received the groups, assured that the commission will investigate the allegations.
Their presence here today demonstrates the confidence that they have in my agency. We are indeed very grateful for that. I want to assure them that we will take this petition through the normal process through which we receive petition in the commission. For us, this is merely an allegation. but we will subject it to test, and if it is worthy of investigation, the commission would duly investigate it, and we'll get to know our findings in due course.
Officials of the organizations also call on President Muhammadu Buhari-led government to ensure that foreign companies do not take advantage of Nigeria to divert funds, inflate contracts, and bribe officials to the detriment of young Nigerians. Let's go on a short break, but when we come back, we'll give you updates on the legal dispute between the federal government and the Multi-Choice Nigerian Limited. Don't go away.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism is concerned.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about fortune.
Now, you see, let me
say
this. So that our soldiers will be free, we should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
Welcome back. The Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned till September 10 to hear the case instituted by the federal government against the Multi-Choice Nigerian Limited over the alleged increase of DSTV subscription tariff. Counsel in the case speak after the court proceedings.
What happened in court essentially is an argument about how the case should proceed. Multi-Choice has appealed against the order of the court, and they've also filed a motion to stay the order of the court. The federal government has responded to that, and so the argument in court today were two things. First, when do we come back to court? Secondly, what should happen in the interim while the orders of the court still persist? The federal government took the position that Multi-Choice has expressly noted that it would not obey the order of the court because it has appealed, and that it's a failure to obey constitutes one of the exceptions to obeying a court order. The Consumer Protection Council on behalf of the federal government takes a different position, and the court ultimately said all of these are things that would be argued and determined before it, because we take two different ideological or philosophical approaches to how the operation of the order of a court, and that's something that the court would ultimately determine. Suffices to say that the court took the view that its order is still out there, it has not been set aside, and as such that when an order is valid and not set aside or discharged or varied, it's enforceable.
Yeah, the matter was adjourned for further arguments on whether the court should proceed with the issue of punishment of the contempt of its order. Earlier, the court made an order that was on the 20th of August 2018, restraining Multi-Choice from certain conduct. We have gone back to court, presenting facts to show that even as we speak, Multi-Choice is still in disobedience of court order. So that is an important question for the court to take. Although Multi-Choice is before the court saying that the court should stop the entire proceedings because an appeal has been filed. We are saying that an appeal does not operate as a stay of the execution of the order of the court or the proceedings before the court. That also includes the question of whether when you compile the record of appeal, whether that stops the lower court from going ahead with its proceedings, especially on the issue of contempt. So we are challenging that compilation entirely. We are saying it's invalid because that's not the way the law says that it should be done. And we are saying that notwithstanding that you're compiling record, what is more important is the question of the dignity of the court. When the court makes an order, even when you think that order is wrong, that order is valid and continues to exist until it's set aside by a court. So we are asking that MultiChoice should comply with the order of the court, essentially. So what is important from today's proceedings, again, is that the Federal High Court has reiterated its earlier order.
The plaintiff's counsel, Emeka Etiaba, who moved the ex parte application, informed the court that there is a plot to impeach the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, because of his defection from the ruling All Progressive Congress to the opposition People's Democratic Party. He asked the court to make an order to restrain the defendants in the suit from taking any unlawful or illegal action that will lead to the removal of the Senate President from office. In a short ruling, Justice Nnamdi Dimba refused to grant all the reliefs being sought by the plaintiffs, but he rather ordered for an accelerated hearing of the suit. The judge also asked the parties in the suit not to take any action that will frustrate the court process pending the determination of the case. Mahmoud Magaji, who is part of the legal team of the plaintiffs, explains the implication of the court orders.
The court has rightly said in age-long position of it that parties are not expected to take laws into their hand. They are supposed to obey the rules of the game and until the matter is finally disposed of.
Senators Rafiu Adebayo, representing Kwara South Senatorial District, and Issa Misau, representing Bauchi Central Senatorial District, instituted the suit.
Our service was retained by Senator Rafiu and Senator Misau, and to the effect that no unconstitutional things should happen in the Senate, and that parties should act within the realm of the Constitution.
Among other reliefs, the plaintiffs want the court to determine whether Saraki can be compelled to vacate his office on the grounds that he is not a member of the political party with majority of senators in the Senate in view of Section 50 of the Constitution and Order 3, Rule 8 of the Senate Standing Rules. Let's go on another short break, but when we come back, we'll give you some of the issues raised by the Nigerian Bar Association in its communique issued at the end of its 58th Annual General Conference that was held in Abuja. Stay tuned.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well. You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about fortune.
Now, you see, let me
So
say this.
that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Welcome back. The Nigerian Bar Association, NBA, has expressed dissatisfaction over what he calls growing trend, where court of competent jurisdiction makes order and government decides on which one to obey. Arising from its 2018 Annual General Conference in Abuja, NBA noted that federal government and the citizenry must obey court order until such orders are set aside by a superior court. The 58th Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association has come to an end, with the association making far-reaching decisions. Among the decisions reached by the Bar Association is the outright rejection of President Muhammadu Buhari's statement at the conference that rule of law must be subject to the supremacy of the nation's security and national interest.
Conference rejects the presidential statement made by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, subordinating the rule of law to national security. NBA reiterates the rule of law is central to any democracy, and national security concerns by the government must be managed within the parameters of the rule of law. The conference frowns at the growing trend whereby government decides which court orders to obey. The courts have exclusive duty under any democratic dispensation to interpret the Constitution and other laws, and the government and the citizens must obey all court orders at all times.
The NBA Annual General Conference was also used for change of leadership baton from the outgoing to the incoming president of the association. The new president, Paul Usoro, after taking his oath of allegiance and office, promised to unite aggrieved members of the NBA.
We are strong only when united and together. Divided, we are vulnerable and subject to external and devastating attacks, and these are the dangers we face daily. My immediate task would therefore be to heal these wounds, seal the cracks, and unite our family of lawyers. I have already started the process of such integration and healing by extending my hands of fellowship and brotherhood to my co-contestants, Professor Ernest Ojukwu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and Chief Arthur Obi Okafor, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. But I will go beyond these two in the days ahead. I'll seek to heal the wounds of the 2016 NBA elections by reaching out to my very good friend and brother, Chief J.K. Gadzama, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and bring him back into the NBA family. I know that he has plenty to offer to our association. There are also several of our bar elders who have stayed outside the NBA fold for several years now for one reason or the other, mostly out of disenchantment. We'll actively work to bring them back into the fold and in the process harvest from their rich repertoire of intellectual resources, experiences, and wisdom. These healing processes and integration efforts would extend to the NBA branches where we've had drawn-out strives and contentions, incidents that tend to give the lie to and inhibit and erode the brotherhood and friendship in our common salutation as learned friends.
Usoro is promising to unite the members of the Bar Association following litigations and allegations of electoral malpractices that marred the tenure of Abubakar Mahmood. The leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Ibrahim Ezezaki, and his wife, who are currently being detained by the Department of State Services, are also being prosecuted by the Kaduna State government on allegations bordering on murder. His supporters are here again protesting along Major Street in Abuja, asking the authorities to release their leader. They also said that they lack confidence in the trial of Ezezaki on the grounds that previous court judgment made in his favor has not been obeyed by the federal government.
After telling the whole world that this sheikh has committed no offense, that you are protecting him, now you took him to court and started charging him with a murder case. trial on the Sheikh, charging with murder case. This is very unfortunate to the so-called democratic system we practice in this country.
Zazaki supporters have equally raised allegations on what they call plot to assassinate the religious leader by security agencies.
We had the information and there is no way we keep mute on it. Everybody now is aware, should anything happen to the Sheikh, it is the government, it is Buhari administration.
Some clerics have recently joined in the call for immediate release of the Shiite leader in Nigeria. Well, this is where we draw the curtain on this program for this week. But join us again as we promise to bring you more updates on the activities happening within and outside the judiciary. Keep watching and remain blessed. I am Basile Okafo.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigeria's seat of power.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
Cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about fortune.
Now, you see, let me say this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
this is what...
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
From magistrate to high court, from court of appeal to the Supreme Court, we bring you the rulings, judgments on cases involving personalities, institutions, both low and high in the society.
The learned trial judge said he has not even read the processes.
From the way they are going, they will spend 20 days on a witness. I've never seen that kind of proceedings in my life.
Join Basil Okafor on Legal Scope every Saturday at 2:30 p.m. and the repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Legal Scope brings you activities in the judiciary, updating you on in and out of court proceedings. Join me for updates on Legal Scope on CoreTV News.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News Broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
The defection of the Benue State Governor Samuel Otom and his Kwara State counterpart Abdul Fattah Ahmed from the All Progressive Congress to the People's Democratic Party has altered the leadership configuration in their respective states. Party leaders within the states have all come in and ensured that the center of the party is still holding every other member of the party together so they can confront the 2019 elections in one whole unity team. From Chibok is the sweet story of 4 of the girls having a university admission after the very terrible experience they suffered when they were kidnapped in 2014. This is Northern Reports, where you're updated on the interesting happenings in the great northern region. I am Usaitin Osadebame, your anchor on the program. Welcome back. There are some cheering news as some of the girls who were kidnapped from Chibok sometime back in 2014 are now students in the higher institution. They are being admitted into a university in Adamawa State.
Following the return of peace and normalcy to troubled Northeast where the institution is located, parents, staff and the new students are all excited for what is described as a lifetime opportunity. President of the university speaking at the matriculation ceremony commends the Nigerian military for a successful campaign against Boko Haram insurgency.
Perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love what you're doing and learning to do.
The Vice President, Academic Affairs, Mohammed Kah, encourages the students to brace up for the challenges ahead. He urged them to make good use of the opportunity they have.
All here because we like you. You are here because you earned the right to be here by meeting the minimum standards of our university.
Parents and some of the newly admitted students expressed optimism that the academic year ahead will be fruitful.
American University of Nigeria is really a place to be. It's a very nice development university. You know, one of the very few you can get in the continent.
No doubt that the American style, the standard entrepreneurial skills, she will get them here.
Looking at everything we've seen so far in the orientation, I believe the faculties of a good standard and the environment looks like one you can really learn in and have fun in. So I'm expecting to graduate as a well-rounded student in terms of academics and actually living in the real world after graduation.
The president of the institution adds that 4 of the new students are from the university new foundation school program, organized specially for Chibok girls special education program.
It's politics. As the Benue State Governor Samuel Otom returns his nomination and expression of interest form to the Wadata House National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party. While addressing the press through one of his aides, the governor says he has performed sufficiently to qualify for a second term, and so they are relying on the people to make that good decision.
Our own constitution doesn't even have room for automatic ticket, but the governor, as a sitting governor, has the first right of refusal, as you know. But we are ready to go into the contest with any other person that wants to go in. We are ready to participate in the primaries, and I can assure you that the governor will show a victory. So we are not thinking about even an automatic ticket.
The Senior Special Assistant on Special Duties to the Governor of Benue State, Abraham Kwango, says the people of Benue State and beneficiaries of the governor's performance in education, infrastructure, health and other areas will vote for the governor. According to him, the leadership of the party are at peace with the governor and will garner the needed support for the party.
The doors of the parties are always wide open, and decisions to enter the party are taken by individuals. The governor decided, after full consultation with the people of Benue State and the leadership of PDP, both at the national level and at the state level, to come back to PDP. This is a party he founded, was a founding member, was national auditor of this party, was also a serving minister under this party. But because of one thing or the other, he was sojourned into another party, but decided to come back home.
Senior Special Assistant to the Benue State Governor on Special Duties also notes that the party will not grant automatic tickets to anyone, as interested aspirants are to contest the primaries to produce a popular candidate to lead the state into prosperity. He argues that the governor has been on the side of the people and the people acknowledge this. Arit A. Fan, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The return of Samuel Otom from the All Progressive Congress to the People's Democratic Party has set an internal wrangling within the People's Democratic Party in the state. However, the intervention of the elders, calling on all parties to look at the interests of Benue State and the People's Democratic Party as they forge ahead towards the 2019 election, has also calmed frayed nerves, it seems.
I want to welcome all members of PDP into the new capital of Government House. There will be no more Otom PDP, there will be no more Dikman PDP, there will be no more Gamale PDP, there will be no more Susan PDP, there will be no more Yojale PDP. PDP is now one under the leadership of the pride of His Excellency, the Governor of Benue State.
Responding, the former Senate President David Mark says he is happy attending a meeting after so many years. He says now that everything has been resolved, the party will move stronger towards 2019 without doubt of reclaiming its mandate both at the state and federal level.
I think the chairman has done a great job by officially handing over the party to the leader of the party, who is the governor of Benue. On that note, therefore, with confidence, I say, Your Excellency, the governor of Benue State.
Governor Autumn thanks all and says he will work with the other aspirants while assuring them that he will not use his position as the governor and party leader to undermine anyone.
I want to appreciate and thank the leadership, the party chairman, and all of you that are here, and teaming members of PDP for the opportunity according to me. And say that I accepted the mantle of leadership.
As our leader has said, we've had to meet severally both in Abuja and yesterday here. And we arrive at certain decisions. You know, in the process of addressing issues in life, at times hard decisions are taken. They might be temporarily unpleasant to some people, but in the long term, they will address the problems.
The meeting has former Senate President David Mark, Yosha Ayu, Senator Barnabas, other stakeholders, National and State House of Assembly members in attendance.
The experience in Benue State also played out in Kwara State, where the governor has assured members of the party and the leaders who met that they all are going to have an inclusive approach to ensure that everyone has a fair share and a fair deal in the party as they head towards the 2019 general elections.
Governor Ahmed promises to strengthen the state's economy, infrastructure, and human capital development with a view to accelerating socio-economic growth of Kwara State. The governor explains that the composition of the new executive committee further demonstrates the party's leadership commitment to an inclusive process carrying all groups along.
Your coming here is a showcase of a well-demonstrated inclusive process in governance, inclusive process in politicking, and inclusive process in association. And with the current party, will ensure that every program of the state is carried on accordingly, and it will ensure that the next level of government at state level must be produced by the PDP to ensure that.
The new Central Working Committee of PDP in Kwara State discloses that the committee is composed of old and returning members with all groups carried along.
The relationship between us and old members of the PDP and the new entrants from the great Saraki dynasty has been very cordial. It has been a case of mutual respect and trust all the way. We have found in Dr. Bukola Saraki, CON, an honest, straightforward, and fair leader. Instead of hijacking the party, as Oyedepo and his few other prophesied, the Senate President has indeed left the control of the party in the hands of all stakeholders.
According to them, the Senate President demonstrated fair play in selection of executives and ensured that both old and new members are all involved in the process.
Let's take a break at this point. When we return, we'll be talking about the promise of a police commissioner who has resumed duty in Benue State.
Hi, I am Anete Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory. From the office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration,
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head. Because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Welcome back. A new commissioner of police has resumed duty in Benue State, his new duty post, and he's assuring the state government and the people of Benue State that activities of the Nigerian police in Benue State will be intelligence-driven and nothing more. And this is going to be done to promote the safety of the people and also ensure peace within Benue State.
The Benue State Commissioner of Police states that the success of security operations in the state, which led to a relatively peaceful environment, will not have been possible without the support of the governor. He promises to adopt effective community policing, intelligence gathering, and proactive approaches to ensure the reduction of crime in the state to the lowest level, stressing that no meaningful development can take place in an insecure environment.
I am going to establish a dedicated community policing unit in all the local governments in Benue. That is what I've been directed to do. And within the next 2 to 3, 4 weeks, a workshop is going to be organized where we will take community policing ideals to the traditional rulers, the youth, women, and our local people. My approach is going to be mostly proactive.
Governor Autumn expresses optimism that the new police commissioner would bring his experience as someone who is familiar with the Benue terrain, as well as a graduate from the War College, to tackle the security challenges in the state.
We have issues like you have rightly pointed out, you are not a stranger in our land, you know the security issues, the criminal elements, you even know them, even by name, and where they come from and what they are doing already to the people. The local criminality that is going on about kidnappings and armed robberies and killings. But like you said, and I want to agree with you that you have the capacity to contend with them. I want to assure you that within our limited resources, we will do everything to support you to ensure we provide security for lives and property.
The governor also commends the Inspector General of Police for transferring the immediate past Commissioner of Police for supporting impunity and lawlessness, adding that such officers give the force a bad image.
As aspirants troop to the Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State to pick their forms, the party leadership is assuring all aspirants that the party is going to conduct a free, fair elections and ensure that the primaries is credible, such that whoever emerges will be the success candidate for the party as they field them in the 2019 general elections.
As the 2019 general elections draw near, the number of aspirants seeking various elective positions is on the increase. The People's Democratic Party in Kaduna State says it will ensure justice and fairness to all aspirants, as the party will not place anyone ahead of the others during its party primary election.
Everybody knows PDP now in Kaduna State and in the country in general. When we promised people a free and fair elections in the last primary and the local government elections, We kept to our words, and everybody felt satisfied. Nobody will really receive any petition from anywhere on wrong conduct or manipulations. No.
He calls on party members to work hard towards ensuring that the People's Democratic Party takes over power in Kaduna and the nation at large.
The position remains unchanged. Free, fair, credible primaries.
Workers of the Kwara State radio stations have taken to the street, protesting what they describe as an abandonment of both welfare of staffers and even infrastructural and work facility. These, they say, must change so that this radio station can provide the people of Kwara and its government the service it is mandated to so do.
Displaying placards with various inscriptions urging the state governor to come to their aid and rescue the station from diminution due to unfriendly working condition, the NUJ chairman, Radio Kwara, and his staff laments decay in its station's infrastructure and more.
The entire workforce in Radio Kwara are fed up of the poor condition of our service. Our environment is not at all healthy for working. In fact, most of our people that are working at far end, Budref over there, are just, their life is a danger one. They are just playing with snakes. Even in the studio, snakes do come there to harass them. That is not, if people are misconstruing us for either salary or we are not fighting for salary, but poor condition of work. Here in Radio Kwara, we don't have any operational vehicle.
We feel that the government does not want to listen to us, and we are made to believe that there is an agenda somewhere that is not open to anyone. The Radio Kwara, holistically, the Radio Kwara is being abandoned. There is a form of window dressing in the repositioning. We can see few things around, that they buy the chairs, the things that are not needed.
The Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Media pleads with the staff to understand the economic situation as the governor will continue to provide the needs of the workers.
I also want to recognize the passion of those workers because they are interested in the efficient running of their station that they have decided to protest. As far as I'm aware, the issues are regarding their operational expenses. Now, we are all aware that the reason for this is the economic challenges the country is facing. Allocation to all tiers of government have dropped. They are just recently going up gradually. And the government of Alhaji Fattah Ahmed has prioritized salaries as first-line charge. So it's only after salaries have been paid that we can look after the operational needs of the media houses or any of the other 29 parastatals in the state.
We'll be taking our second break at this point. Please do not forget to reach us on callburex@gmail.com as it is scrolling on the screen.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well.
You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about fortune.
Now, you see, let me
say
this.
So that our soldiers will be free, we should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government however powerful, should take the laws into his hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they are not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
Electors in Kwara State who are desirous of good governance have been counseled to go out and pick their voters card after registration, because the permanent voters card is the strongest tool with which they can ensure that they get good governance through election of a candidate of their choice whom they believe can deliver such services to them. Now this reminds us of the old song which goes this way: your vote, now your power, no throw away a move. Person where they cry, no they see road do. This is a call to every one of us as the 2019 general election comes up. We all who have registered must go out to pick the permanent voters card and then pick a candidate of our choice that will advance the interests of this great region and then Nigeria in general.
The group under the aegis of Save Kwara storms the streets on a march for good governance and political liberation in Kwara State. Chairman of the group, Niyi Abioye, charges Kwarans to obtain their PVC in order to elect the government that will meet the yearning of the people and vote out the government of one-man business in the state.
So this morning, we are sensitizing Kwara about the current registration by INEC. We want Kwarans to get registered so that at the end of the day, they will be able to perform their civic rights for the enthronement of good governance in the state.
A member also laments the poor state of infrastructure in the state, saying a new government must emerge to bring a desired government that Kwarans deserve.
How can we justify the debt profile of this state with no level of development, with no meaningful development to show for it? It is unfair.
In his reaction, the Senior Special Assistant on Media, Muhyiddin Akorede, says Kwara State had witnessed tremendous infrastructural development since the inception of Bukola Saraki as a governor up till the present governor, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, saying Kwara is not underdeveloped.
A lot of infrastructure was done in roads, electricity and water. It is not true that this Saraki dynasty that's holding down Kwara. What the Saraki system, as we understand it, has done is actually democratized and broadened access to governance in terms of participation and patronage. You don't have to be the son of anybody.
These are the week's package of Northern Reports. I am Osaitin Osadibame, your regular anchor on the program. Please keep a date with us next week for another edition of the program. And do not forget to send us your mail, callburex@gmail.com. Bye now.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask. You get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Hi, I am Anita Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
To the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well. You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion. Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about thought.
Now, you see, let me say this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
This is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television, Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure
Judiciary, updating you on in and out of court proceedings. Join me for updates on legal scoop on CoreTV News.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will fee give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans.
We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let change up. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website. www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News Broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. And Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Welcome to another edition of Core Health. My name is Zibironke Ira Lovigbe. On today's program, we'll be talking antenatal care. Antenatal care, also known as prenatal care, has been proven to reduce maternal mortality and mobility. It also allows for risk identification to prevent or identify and treat any condition that may threaten the health of the baby or the mother. Our guest for today is a specialist obstetrician gynecologist, Deji Omolono, who will give us insight to what antenatal care is all about, benefits of antenatal to pregnant women, and diseases associated to pregnancy, which pregnant women should watch out for. Stay tuned.
So antenatal care is a care given to pregnant women to ensure best health condition for the mother and baby during pregnancy, and so to say to ensure a safe motherhood. Ante is simply a prefix, and that's like before, and natal means birth. So antenatal care is care given to women before birth, that is during pregnancy. It actually involves 4 major components, which includes risk identification. That is, you want to grade these women whether they are ones of low risk or high risk, because normally pregnancy is a physiological condition. Back in those days, if there's no problem in pregnancy, a woman can progress also pregnancy without intervention. But for the little fraction that can develop complications, that is why antenatal care is quite very important. And the thing is, you cannot by maybe a person's habitus or weight or maybe well-being to say, oh, this person, you are pregnant now, everything will go well for you. So anything can change in pregnancy. So that's why it's important. The second component, aside risk identification, it's prevention and treatment of pregnancy-related conditions and also concurrent diseases, which can include hypertension in pregnancy, diabetes in pregnancy. People can even have background asthma in pregnancy. There are also other conditions like malaria in pregnancy, HIV in pregnancy, hepatitis in pregnancy. Aside that, sure, also have urinary tract infection in pregnancy and often respiratory tract infection in pregnancy. So all these conditions, if not treated, can lead to adverse outcome for the mother, likewise the baby. And aside that, also health education and health promotion is likewise important, in which you want to tell them about what to eat in pregnancy, exercise involved in pregnancy, avoiding common habits. Some smoke, some take a lot of alcohol. So all these things have adverse effects in pregnancy. So these are the core involvements of core components of antenatal care. As I said, risk identification, prevention and treatment of pregnancy-related and concurrent diseases, and also health education and health promotion.
For the pregnant women in the house, it's important to take antenatal care serious because its benefits cannot be underestimated, especially for the safety of your baby and you during and after delivery. Before we hear more on this, let's take a short break.
Coming together of opportunity, and this is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
Welcome back. For those who are just joining us on the program, our topic for today is antenatal care, and we have been talking with a specialist obstetrician gynecologist, Deji Omolono, who will tell us what we need to know about what happens during the trimesters of pregnancy. Please join us. Let's look at the trimesters we have in pregnancy.
Okay.
The first,
the second, and the third. Yes.
What are the things to watch out for during this trimester?
All right. That's a good question. As you said, the trimesters are, for convenience, broken into 3, and that is what the focused antenatal care actually tried to catch, in which the first visit is said to be between the 8 to 12 weeks. The second visit is between 24 to 26 weeks. The third visit is between 32 weeks, and the last visit is between 36 to 38 weeks. Time. However, the visits can be more if there are complications that arises. Now, the first trimester is between conception, that's from when the patient gets pregnant, to the 1st to the 13th week. The second trimester is between 13 weeks and the 26th week, while the third trimester is between the 26th week and the 39th week. Because averagely you expect a pregnancy to last at least 40 weeks, plus or minus 2 weeks. So the first trimester, it is very important that, because as I said, it's one of the most important parts, because that is where the baby actually forms. So drugs, external interference, probably raise, medications, lifestyle, ought to be carefully monitored in this first 13, because that is where the baby forms, the heart, the brain. If you can see this, like this, this schema, just showing the development of the fetus, So between the fetus and that 13, between the 8th, 7th day and the 13th week, that is when that embryogenesis and organogenesis takes place. So that period is very critical. And when a woman presents in the hospital at this time, you want to date the pregnancy. That is because another problem in this environment is that women come in when they are late. And the best time to date a pregnancy is usually between the 9th and the 13th week, in which you can use the crown rump length. So at that time, most women may not even know when they get pregnant, because most pregnancies are not planned. So, and for you to avoid post-date pregnancy, which has its own complications, because a week difference between knowing when a woman gets pregnant or not can determine whether that baby comes out alive or not. Because at the later part of pregnancy, the placenta function has started reducing, which is the one that supplies nutrients to the baby. So dating is a key component of the first trimester. And also, you want to start them on folate drugs. That is folic acid, which is very important for neural tube development. So women need to, as soon as they get pregnant, they should just visit the hospital. Not like you're going to do them anything special. Just do a basic scan, know your blood group, and start taking your antenatal medications. And you now identify your risk factors, so that in case you need to see you more frequently, or you need to go to a specialized level of care. Now in the second trimester, now the baby is formed, baby is growing. In this part of pregnancy, that is when you now start having the common medical conditions start rearing up its head, because the placenta is formed, and majorly issues of placenta function or issue of metabolism or weight and all comes into play. So in that place, after the 28th week, you now start having We can ask categorize, say, okay, if the woman was not hypertensive before that time, before 20 weeks, you can ask, and for example, hypertensive now, you can ask that patient has what we call gestational hypertension. That is pregnancy in hypertension in pregnancy, you know. And we now start looking out for protein in the urine, which is not supposed to be there, because protein is a large molecule, so it's not supposed to pass through the basement membrane of the kidney. So once it starts passing through, you now start getting worried. Now, when you start having proteinuria and hypertension, you now call it preeclampsia, which is a multi-systemic disease and a disease of progression. So in that kind of case, you need close monitoring. So in second trimester, you want to monitor them for pregnancy-induced hypertension. You want to also, if patients have a risk factor for diabetes, you want to screen them again. You want to do your oral glucose tolerance test for them. You want to also screen them for anemia, you know, and also ensure that they're taking their medications. And also, the another component of the post-antenatal is what we call the birth planning and emergency preparedness, in which you want to, the woman takes a decision, you know, on, okay, she knows her dating, she knows where she wants to deliver, she knows who wants to deliver her, and it's very advised that the woman should be delivered by a skilled birth attendant, which means a nurse, a midwife, or a medical doctor, you know. Then apart from that, she wants to make emergency funds available, you know, when in case she has complications or falls into labor, who takes her to the hospital, who transports her, you know, all those factors, because these are the factors that occur, that you find a woman, maybe they rupture their water, you know, that they drain liquor, and the husband is not at home. They keep waiting till the husband comes back home, and at the end of the day, probably they expel on the floor of the house, the baby dies, or the mother also starts bleeding. So facts like that is what has been inculcated, you know, into this focal antenatal care, which makes it more engaging and involving the husband, the woman, and the doctor. So, and also now we're talking about the third trimester. We now talk about, you know, we want to check for malpresentation. As I told you that 3 to 4% of babies eventually end up as breech. So you want to know whether the baby is coming with the head. At that point, that's between, like, you know, at 36 to 38, you want to confirm baby coming, so that you know, okay, this baby, you can still go ahead with vaginal delivery. If the woman has delivered before, you know, vaginally, if she's probably a second pregnancy or third pregnancy, she's coming with a breech, you can still go ahead and deliver her vaginally. But if it's a first timer, you want to advise her for a cesarean section, you know. So all those factors, you want to also screen her for anemia again, because anemia is a very common, you know, complication of pregnancy in this environment, because women caused by low intake of iron. No, iron containing foods. And well, if you eat very well, women don't even need to, you know, to take as much iron supplement. But find out in this environment, even ab initio before pregnancy, the woman is even already anemic. That is, you know, she's just a menstrual period, she's not eating enough, you know, due to and now in pregnancy there's increased maternal red cell mass, there's plasma volume expansion, you know. So a woman that is very probably borderline, like 30% before, when she gets pregnant, she can fall to like 26%, which is not good for the baby. So that's why, as I said, preconception counseling is very important. You have checked her, she's fit to get pregnant, she now gets pregnant. So we have to check. So that's why if the woman PCV is low, you know, we start telling her to use ferrous, which is a supplementation, so as to boost the baby, to ensure good weight for the baby, and also prevent, you know, complications in the mother, like uterine atony that can lead to postpartum hemorrhage, you know, when the woman falls into labor.
Let's take a short break now. I'll be right back.
The judiciary, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of lis pendens ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into his hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening, going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they're not in the mood to speak.
No comment.
talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
Now, let's look at supplements to be taken during pregnancy and some words of advice for pregnant women out there.
Yes.
You mentioned the water that comes out before delivery.
Okay.
Can you talk more on that? Why most times some men will say they are water block for delivery. Water because of how.
Okay.
And what's the essence? What's the idea of that water
Okay.
coming out before pregnancy?
All right. So water breaking is what we call rupture of membranes. You know, the membranes, the baby is protected, you know, in the amniotic sac by the membrane, and the water, the amniotic fluid serves as a cushion for the baby in pregnancy, allows it to move, you know, and also grow grow normally, turn, grow accordingly, and all. And it's actually the amniotic fluid is actually from fetal urine. The fetus passes urine, and you know, and eventually it forms the amniotic fluid. So any problem with probably kidney function of the baby, or probably the swallowing reflex of the baby, swallowing reflex of the baby, because the baby also should be able to swallow that fluid, because it's just bathing in that fluid. So even if a woman also probably accidentally falls down or eats her tummy, that amniotic fluid, you know, that water that I say breaks, is the one that cushions the baby against external aggression, rather external force. So it's like a cushion for the baby. So anything that reduces that fluid, you know, is a risk for that baby. So that's why in pregnancy we talk about, probably a woman starts complaining that the baby is not kicking well. You can say she can do a biophysical profile, want to check, because anytime the baby, that fluid is reduced, it's a warning sign for that baby. So when there are many causes of that water to break, you know, it's called the premature rupture of membrane. Premature rupture of membrane is rupture of membrane at any gestational age before labor. So because we expect that is when, you know, contraction starts, then the water should break on its own and labor progresses. But if that water ruptures, if the amniotic sac or amniotic membrane breaks, you know, before labor and baby is before time, then we say it's a premature rupture of membrane or preterm pre-labor rupture of membrane, you know. And the commonest cause is infection. Understand? Ascending infection from the genital tract, you know. Some women, you know, they're still involved in their polygamy, so the husband can probably involve in maybe extramarital affair, so give the woman infection, you know. So any infection that colonizes the genital tract can ascend and weaken the tensile strength of that membrane. That sac is very thick, but with infection it can get weak. So when a woman starts having discharge, you know, yellowish discharge, or any discharge that is normally of the normal physiologic, you know, discharge that is just like normal milky white, you know, kind of thing, your plain white, just transparent white, yes, patients should, you know, come to the hospital so that we can treat. Then even malaria or untreated infection can also cause rupture of membrane. And also women that are probably have multiple pregnancies, because in this era we have in vitro fertilization, in which you have women that can carry twin pregnancy, triple pregnancy. That also reduces the distensibility, that is how the womb can get big. So it can also lead to rupture of membrane. So, but whenever a water breaks at any point, it is an emergency, and that woman should present in the hospital.
Can the water break anytime? Is it from the second trimester or the third trimester?
Yes, it can break at any time. Second trimester. No, in the first trimester, most times, before, you know, we usually categorize it based on age of viability. Okay. You know, in this environment, our age of viability is 28 weeks. You know, so if the water, and age of viability means that the chances that baby can survive outside the womb, you know, the age that baby can say that, okay, from 28 weeks, we can say that if baby is even born at this time, the pediatricians or the neonatologists can take over the baby in the incubator and still make the baby grow to 10. Understand? But if the baby gets born before 28 weeks in this environment, we still classify that baby like an abortion. Understand? So, but if the water now breaks after 28 weeks, now we can now call it a preterm rupture of membrane. and eventually, if baby, we can do a conservative management, between that 28 and 34 weeks to allow for fetal lung maturity, and because eventually, once that water is not there, that place will be hostile to the baby, and eventually the baby will come out. But the little time that we can buy to allow the lungs to mature, we give relevant drugs like corticosteroids we can give, and when the baby now comes out eventually, we can now hand over to the pediatrician, having involved them at the time that the baby has a ruptured membrane, or we treat for infections and all. So, but from 28 weeks to 10, rupture of membrane baby can be treated as a baby. You understand? Because before 28 weeks, chances of that baby surviving is very slim. But abroad, in developed countries, they can still, like in America, their own age of viability is 20 weeks. In UK, it's 24 weeks. So a baby born at 24 weeks in UK can be saved. Though can not be referred to as premature. It's a premature delivery, but can still be taken care of to prevent that will be discharged home, but we can still have some residual issues, because they say that the womb is the best environment for the baby.
Now, so all women out there, especially for pregnant women, what they should know about.
Okay. It is said that health is the highest social capital for a nation, and a country that makes health, very important, is more economically viable. I would urge pregnant women to put their lives, that their destiny is in their hands. Antenatal care is cheap and is affordable. They should make use of the opportunity so that they will have, a healthy baby and also a healthy mother. Because it's not enough to have a baby that is not healthy. And antenatal care is good for them to prevent all these, unnecessary deaths for mother and child in pregnancy. So all our cultures, our religious leaders, to help us, tell them more that once a woman is pregnant, she should come to the hospital to book early, so that we'll be able to stratify her and monitor her accordingly, so that we'll have a healthy nation for mother, child, and fathers. Thank you very much.
If you're pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, it is important you don't smoke or be around secondhand smoke. Don't drink and get enough rest. It's also important to get essential nutrients like folic acid, calcium, and iron from the very start. Staying active is important for your general health and can help you reduce stress, control your weight, improve circulation, boost your mood, and make you sleep better. Well, we've come to the end of today's program. Do join us next week for another interesting topic on your health. My name is Ibironke Lovikbe. Bye for now.
So what is 60 Minutes with Angela all about? It's not an interview. I like to think it's a conversation between two people making the news, people who are in the news, and those who become the news. And the whole idea is to inform, to educate, or to clarify, as the case may be. It is an art getting people to answer the questions that everyone is thinking in their minds. And that's what we try to do on 60 Minutes with Angela. I ask all the questions that everyone's thinking about and no one wants to voice. All the questions you always wanted to ask, you get those answers on 60 Minutes with Angela. Every week on this station, 60 Minutes with Angela, getting answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Hi, I am Anete Patrick, host of your program Abuja Today, that brings you highlights of happenings in Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory from the Office of the Federal Capital Territory Administration.
I appeal to all of us citizens, leaders, politicians, and all to support this team to be able to restore the Abuja Master Plan.
Through the streets that involves every boy, every girl, every man, every woman, and every youth on the streets, unfolding of happenings in the nation's capital territory.
Our challenge here is kidnapping, and the secret is there. It's a very short journey. You don't have to go as far as Abaji before you know what is happening in Kuji.
All of us, we don't know, in short, we don't know where to put head, because definitely our children, they are hungry.
So join me at this time on CoreTV as we take you on a tour on Nigerian seats of power.
Democracy allows for fair hearing. This is reckless. This is ungodly.
When news break, we engage experts in critical analysis.
Do you see your party coming into power come 2019?
This administration will succeed and succeed well. You cannot be running a 4-year tenure like you are running a 20-year tenure.
He has done fairly well, especially where insurgency and terrorism.
Then it gets controversial.
They have a right to their opinion.
Can we, very interesting gentlemen, just hold on.
I am about principle and I am about thought.
Now, you see, let me
say
this.
So that our soldiers will be free. We should also ask for justification.
Core Digest, your #1 program for current issues.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Hello and welcome. This is CoreTV.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
This is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television, Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and CoreTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
From magistrate to high court, from court of appeal to the Supreme Court, we bring you the rulings, judgments on cases involving personalities, institutions, both low and high in the society.
The learned trial judge said he has not even read the processes.
From the way they are going, they will spend 20 days on a witness. I've never seen that kind of proceedings in my life.
Join Basil Okafor on Legal Scope every Saturday at 2:30 p.m. and the repeat broadcast every Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Legal Scope brings you activities in the judiciary, updating you on in and out of court proceedings. Join me for updates on Legal Scope on CoreTV News.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will free give you 500.
Sure? This one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it.
He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News Broadcast.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Hello and welcome to your program Abuja Today that brings you highlights of happenings in the nation's capital territory. On this week's edition, worried by the incident causes of building collapse in the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT Minister Mohammed Bello has inaugurated a panel of inquiry to unravel the immediate and remote causes of building collapse in Abuja. Also, the federal government of Nigeria has flagged off the FCT One-Stop MSME for job creation and empowerment, saying the initiative is designed to further facilitate synergy between the MSMEs and regulatory bodies to eliminate bureaucratic bottlenecks faced by the MSMEs in the country. These and many more will come your way on this week's episode of the program Abuja Today. I am Anete Patrick. Stay tuned. Worried by the instant causes of building collapse in the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT Minister Mohammed Bello has inaugurated a panel of inquiry to unravel the immediate and remote causes of the unfortunate building collapse in Abuja. It will be recalled that a 4-story building structure under the construction in Jai district collapsed on Friday, August 17, 2018, leaving 3 persons dead, while 6 others sustained various degrees of injuries. The FCT Minister, who was represented at the occasion by the Secretary Chinyaka Oha, says the FCT administration, as a responsible and responsive government, is committed to unraveling the causes of the unfortunate incident with a view to stemming future occurrences. Oha discloses that the committee has 3 weeks to complete its assignment and is being charged with the responsibility of assessing the quality of sub-all, foundations and designs that were available for the structure, establish the quality of supervision and nature of construction materials used, as well as the experience of the technical personnel at the site.
The terms of reference for these assignments are to determine the immediate and remote causes of the incident, to conduct any in-situ tests and collect specimens for laboratory test of material from the site, to assess the quality of subsoil, foundation and design that were available for the structure, to establish quality of supervision, prudent use of construction material, and of course the experience of technical personnel at the site, to assess the level of regulation on the site, to recommend appropriate sanction against any person found wanting, to document and submit report that could be used as a reference in the future, and any other reasonable suggestion or guide you may deem necessary. You have to give it to us to enable us to stem the tide of this collapse, because you know a lot of life will be involved.
Chairman of the panel stresses that the frequency of building collapse in Nigeria is unacceptable given the level of professionalism in the industry in the country. He, however, commends the present FCT administration for the reduction of the incidence of building collapse in the territory, noting that the last time this happened was in August 2016.
From the experience of some of us, like myself, it's very peaceful to sit and do research and give the outcomes of research. But the critical matter is when you have the data available to you, what step do you take either to mitigate effects or to eliminate the scenario altogether? I know this is the assignment you have given us, and I believe that I'm speaking on behalf of everybody. The enthusiasm and the rapt attention that I've seen, that we will do our utmost best. It is an unacceptable phenomenon for a country of the status of Nigeria. It is unacceptable for the level of professionalism and the experiences this country has in physical development. In fact, if we were to progress normally, we would be making skyscrapers. And not only skyscrapers, as has been pointed out in some activities in the past, we have not even started harnessing the ground space within us.
The committee is expected to assess the level of regulation at the sites and recommend appropriate sanction against any person found wanting, as well as work with a vision for the future to ensure that occurrences of this nature, which were very much avoidable, would be addressed by its report. The Federal Capital Development Authority has assured motorists and other stakeholders of its strong commitment to ensure speedy reconstruction of the ever-busy Bill Clinton Road in Abuja. This was disclosed by the Executive Secretary, FCDA, Jibrin Umar, during stakeholders' interactive session on the proposed project, stressing that the rehabilitation of this road is part of its commitment to tidy up abandoned projects and ensure a free-flow movement in the city. Umar says plans have been concluded to ensure swift and smooth takeoff of the project expected to be completed by December, disclosing that there would be partial closure of the road during the construction period. He also notes that the contract, which was awarded to a Chinese construction firm in March 2018 by the Federal Executive Council, is in the sum of 1.7 billion naira.
We have done every arrangement, and after our visit to site, which we have penciled down for next week, we expect that in the next few weeks, 2-3 weeks, the contractor should be on ground to put up these palliatives that we say we'll do on the shoulders that will enable us to have the movement seamless within one of the carriageways, so that at the time they are done with that, then we'll close up the outbound, which is the one that they'll be starting with.
Director General FCDA highlights that the work will be done in phases, such as rehabilitation of the shoulders to allow them operate before closing the outbound to ease traffic flow, as the carriageway will be open while the work is ongoing.
By allowing the road within the central area of it in connection with the Northern Parkway counterpart, for the road when fully operational to be serving in one-way mode, so that when you are coming from the city and you are Garki bound on this road from the National Mosque area, or we can even say up from the Sheraton side, you will be driving in one-way mode to come until you pass the loop beyond the FCDA Agis complex.
The administration notes that one regular U-turn, synergies, speed breakers, warning lights, life, and dummy flagmen will be introduced along the road to ease movement, as well as ensure minimum inconvenience during the reconstruction period. Anita Patrick. We'll take a break here, and when we return, we'll bring you other exciting highlights of activities as they unfolded in the course of the week. See you shortly.
Sherry, third arm of government. What happens here is what we give to you. The arraignments, arguments, rulings, adjournments of cases and judgments. The fight against corruption and issues bordering on human rights violations.
The doctrine of least spenders ought to have been respected, that no arm of government, however powerful, should take the laws into its hands as held by the Supreme Court.
Justice is one way. It's either you go for justice or justice go after you. But I've never seen a situation where an individual is afraid of justice.
We move from court to court to give you updates on legal matters, when they happen and where they are happening. Going extra miles to get reactions from the parties, even when they are not in the mood to speak.
No comment. Talk to my lawyer.
Watch Legal Scope on CoreTV News at this time.
If you are not idle, nobody will probably come and encourage you to join their gang or the group.
Yes. To keep Nigeria one is a must that must be done. Nigeria is not going to break.
So if I want to buy this one now, how much you go sell this one?
I will fee give you 500.
Sure, this one?
Yes.
This small banana?
Yes.
I know that Buhari can do it. He has a lot of plans. We should be praying for him. He's a human being. Anything can happen to anybody.
The majority of the law they pass belong to them, to favor them, not the masses in Nigeria.
If we want to change, let's change generally. Don't let's change half. Let's change generally.
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
The Federal Capital Territory Administration has approved for Operation 572 public and private schools for operation in the territory, warning that the schools that operate illegally will face the full wrath of the FCT Education Secretariat by risking closure, recalling the 2016 incident where 556 illegal private schools were closed down. The Secretary, however, revealed that 78 schools applied for accreditation in the 11th batch, out of which 61 schools were approved for full accreditation, and of 133 schools that applied in the 12th batch, 79 schools were approved for the full accreditation. INA states that the schools approved were based on their evaluation in 4 thematic areas: physical facilities and environment, staffing, curriculum, academic activities, and support services and welfare. He adds that those that were unable to meet the requirements for full accreditation have another opportunity to present themselves for the accreditation evaluation during the 13th process, which is to take place September this year.
And there are a lot of schools, again, that operate under terrible conditions. So we hear issues whereby people convert boys' quarters in their house to schools, illegal schools, no accreditation, no registration.